I've been fired from much better jobs than this. Oh man! In that instant when it actually went bang, I actually thought, "I'm gonna fucking die." He says,
Great.
"I'll take it. Get me to the chopper." Yeah.
Hello, I'm Dave Duffin. Today's special guest has been flying helicopters and planes for probably 5 decades or more or less. He's been in the film and TV game for about 25 as far as I know. He's a true adventurer. Please welcome Ken Gray. Hey mate, how are you? Good to have you on board.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure mate. So, like I said, you've been flying for a long time. What are you doing now?
Season 49 of the US Survivorship.
That's good. Congrats.
Thank you.
Have you been on from the start?
I started in season 9 in Vanuatu.
Right.
And we didn't even know if there was going to be a 10.
Wow.
But there was. And yeah, I missed a couple in places like Brazil where they wouldn't allow foreign pilots.
Okay.
But pretty much.
But foreign money was all right.
Exactly. Especially the US team drinking rum and Coca-Cola.
Right. Well, that what, one season? How many seasons was that? A couple of seasons?
Yeah, one in Brazil, and then when they left the Pacific, they used a guy out of LA,
Right.
in Guatemala and Panama.
Okay.
Did like 10 grand's worth of damage to the tail road. But got on the
Was that much? 10 grand probably.
not much on the helicopter game. Yeah, a couple of blades.
Right.
But yeah, an interesting lesson. Like, yeah.
Don't fuck around.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Could have been a lot worse.
Oh yeah, could have been catastrophic.
Right. Which other countries have you?
Yeah, well, from
the show?
Vanuatu, which was really interesting for me, because I grew up in Papua New Guinea.
Wow.
It was the same language.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so when I got there, I could understand them, and they could understand me.
Right.
And what was interesting was that they could pick my accent, and they'd say, "Oh, you Mandel on PNG."
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, so I was a bit like Rip Van Winkle waking up in a land. Yeah, and so it was really cool.
That's interesting because I interviewed a scenic artist called Buster Norman. Hey Buster. And he was I think born right not I think he was born in Papua New Guinea too because his parents were in the army
Okay.
and they were kind of there. Were your parents like that?
Yeah, so my old man was a missionary,
Ah,
and kind of like the army, called it the God Squad.
right.
So, yeah, great place to grow up.
Cool. Nice.
And you asked about other countries. So Vanuatu, yeah, we went, like I said, we didn't know if it was going to be a season 10, but the ratings were good. So at that stage, we moved every season. So
Yeah,
season 10, we went to Palau, which was a crew favourite.
Palau, is it? Hang on. Is
Yeah,
that-
Micronesia.
right.
Yeah, I think they called the first one Palau, and then we went back and they called it Survival Micronesia.
I think Palau means island, doesn't it? In the local
Yeah, I mean, it's...
language. I think Malaysia it does.
okay, yeah, because they share a lot of that common language and heritage, don't they? There's probably holds hundreds of islands. in
Yeah,
Palau.
that's right.
It's famous, most famous for a group of 50 islands.
Mm.
These little islands in probably the size of 4 football fields.
Right. Just enough to land on, is that right?
No, nowhere to land actually. And in fact, they don't. They've actually restrict tourism in those islands, but we have permission to zoom through it and film it. Yeah. That stays was West Canada really using it. There's a gyro stabilized camera. So yeah, unbelievably beautifully aesthetic. Yeah.
Okay, so
And then Palau, the show moved every season.
okay,
Packed up all the containers. So places like Cook Islands, Fiji the first time, China, Duffin, Nicaragua. Yeah, it's like
You travel.
spinning the globe. Yeah.
and I met you in Karama back in
That's right.
2012, isn't it?
Yeah, Philippines. Another crew favourite location.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And that's where you came up with our international departure lounge signage.
That's right.
Correct.
The famous.
Very famous. Yeah, passport control.
That's
Our own Survivor flying high clock.
That was good.
Yeah.
Was good.
Yeah. Which is funny because when we moved, we took the stuff with us, and it was in 3 different signboards. So instead of International Departure Lounge, when we got to Latin America, I swapped it around with the Lounge International Departure.
Ah, very good.
Yeah, and it was interesting that whatever country we were in, with a local crew, if ever I turned up and there was sort of rubbish around the LC, I'd say to the guys, hey, come on, we are international, we are not domestic. And everyone, no matter what country they're in, understands the difference between international and the domestic terminal.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
Unfortunately, I think in Fiji, so that signage went with us everywhere.
Mm.
And when we packed up at the end of one season, which is always like the fall of Saigon,
Yeah.
yeah, the signage never resurfaced the next year. We still have the clock.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what is your title now? What's your role? What do you specifically do?
So I started out as the helicopter film pilot. And we had a generally camera system worth about $500 US to $750 million gyro stabilized camera on the front.
I see.
And camera guy and I would shoot all of the beauty roll, all the establishers on the tricams, and then of course the big part of what we did was the second unit aerials for challenge.
Right.
And so
Who's a cameraman?
we started off with a Canadian guy called Mark Herman, and then he brought in a guy in LA called Dave Arnold, and they used to swap out.
Okay.
And then we ended up pretty much going with Dave. But the interesting thing when I started, we were doing around 250 hours a year. So 125 hours a season
I say.
of helicopter time,
Okay.
which worked out to about 3 or 4 hours a day.
Is that normal?
No, that's completely unique.
That's lots. Right.
Yeah, that's a lot of time. Yeah, helicopters,
Less.
as most people know, are very expensive. So, yeah, it's extraordinary that a TV show would have a helicopter full time and spend such big money over that many hours.
Yeah, right.
And it all comes back, as I understand it, to our chief and founding guy in charge, Mike Burnett, who was an ex-British Marine.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah. So when he got out of the forces, he ended up as a nanny in LA.
Okay.
And the rich clients were the people who flogged me out here in Eco Challenge too. So as I understand it. Anyway, so helicopters, given his military background, have always been very much part of the show.
Right.
And I think that's what gave the show its added production value.
Yeah.
All of the amazing aerial shots and the visuals that we got from the air. And then, of course, with the challenges, the aerial inserts just gave it that really high production value. Yeah. But then, of course, we always knew the drones were coming. We just didn't figure that come so quickly. So I guess going back now 5, 6 seasons, 3 years, we now have 4 drone operators on the show, and I know one can fly a camera. Right. So I'm here purely for the medevac role. And
right. Yeah.
The contestants or crew, and to fly the host around when necessary. Sure. So it's gone from 250
like
hours.
Today. So if we get a call, you're out. We come back and
today is challenge day off. So the boss will head to the mainland, and we'll drop him off, and then go back and pick him up.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
In this terrain and location, you've got to have the safety.
Correct. And the whole concept of aerial medical evacuation, came out of Vietnam. It was one of the first wars where they had helicopters and such supply, right. And so many more guys survived battle injuries than any previous war. And that's pretty much what drove the medevac industry in the US, was ex-Vietnam pilots.
Gotcha.
And they talk about the golden hour. So if you can get someone who's seriously injured, you can get them into a hospital within an hour, the chances of survival are greatly enhanced. So they call it the golden hour.
Oh, of course, if a pterodactyl ever picked me up and carried me into the sunset, I'd rely on Greg to come and chase me and get me.
He says,
Greg.
I'll take it.
I mean, great. Ken Gray. Yeah. Oh, that's funny, isn't it?
But yeah, I'll answer to any name. Particularly when it's new time,
You know what?
But anyway, that's all right, Phil.
Greg.
I'm not taking it personally. Yeah.
That's funny, man. But on a serious note,
let's keep it
you
serious.
are needed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As it should be.
That's good. Let's go back. Where did you grow up?
So I was born in Lane, Papua New Guinea.
Right.
And that's where I grew up. And coincidentally, but you're talking about the guy you knew who's old man was, excuse me, was military. Yeah. Being in the guard squad, they kind of treat their people a similar way. So probably every 3 years we would come to Australia for 6 months. I call it furlough.
Okay. Which part of Australia you go to? Duffin?
Basically, we go straight to Sydney. And it's interesting, in the day, it was actually... quite often we come by ship, but then we started coming by flying boat. And so these were 2 double-decker, 2-level flying boats, 4 engines, and it was a 3-day trip from Port Moresby. Wow. And so Moresby to Cairns, and then you all get off and stay in a hotel. Cairns to Brisbane, stay in a hotel another night, and then Brisbane to Rose Bay. So Rose Bay is Sydney, which is international airport. And they flew in through the heads. Wow. Yeah, landed in the Sydney harbour.
That's a big plane, but they would never do that anymore, would they?
Well, flying boat.
Would they allow that in Sydney? I mean...
Well, yeah, there's still a flying boat base in Rose Bay, but obviously a lot smaller.
Yeah, I remember, because I grew up in Sydney Harbour there.
That's right.
I remember the boats.
The flying boats. Yeah, and just a great way to travel. And then the old man would buy a new Holden and a caravan, and we hit the road for 6 months. This is in all the rallies, all the way across to Adelaide and all over. So it's kind of a bit of a gypsy lifestyle.
Were you a single child, or yeah, brothers
No,
and
no,
sisters?
I had an older brother and an older sister.
Right.
And I remember we were buying a caravan. I was probably about 6. And we're looking at this caravan. And it had a double berth, and then it had a single and an upper bunk, right? And everyone's going, yeah, but everyone's looking at it going, yeah, this is good. And I'm thinking, yeah, what about me? That means I'm sleeping in the back seat of the car. So, but anyway, interesting way to get around.
So, tell us about your parents. Your father was a pastor, is that right? A priest?
Yep,
And your
missionary.
mother?
Minister.
What was your mum's name? What were their names?
So, my father was Kenneth John Gray, and I became Junior.
Wow.
And my mother her name was Dorothy Beatrice Gray.
Okay.
And he was born in the UK, but his father, who used to swim every day in Sussex by the sea there, disappeared one afternoon, never ever to be seen again. And so he was the youngest of 5, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. His mother health wasn't good, so she kept the girls, and the boys went into the Bernardo orphanage.
Right, Dr. Bernardo's.
Dr. Bernardo's, yeah. When
used to get the donation packet
Yeah.
at school every year.
That's right.
Put the money in.
Yeah, thank you very much on his behalf.
Right.
So the oldest brother had already gone to Australia as a jackaroo. This is pre-World War II. And so my old man, who was 10, and his 12-year-old brother came to Australia on a ship into the Bernardo orphanage.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and he didn't see his mother again until he was 21.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, and then so he was fostered out to a family who were Seventh Day Adventists, and this guy was the manager of the sanitarium health food factory, which is Weet-Bix, Snicky cornflakes, and blah blah blah. And they had a son the same age, but they wanted a bit of manual labour around the house, wood chopping, and milking the cows.
So they got your dad to do it.
Exactly. Right. And whenever the Bernardo inspector turned up, like they did every 3 or 6 months, they would show the inspector their son's room.
It's like Harry Potter.
It is, or Dickens.
Yeah, Dickens. Yeah.
Whereas the old man slept on the ground.
Yeah.
And this is north of Sydney. It's not that warm here winter.
Up near Woolwood.
Coorambong, actually, yeah. Inland from Woolwood. Yeah. So that's where he got the dose of religion. But he worked as an apprentice blacksmith. Flies.
Fiji flies.
Yeah. That became a mortine. So he was an apprentice blacksmith, which of course is a dying trade, which stood him well when he got to the mission field. Because he was very practical and very handy at building and making stuff. Yeah, so that was his background.
And your mum?
Yeah, she was from Melbourne, I believe, or Newcastle. She was Aussie, and they met. So
was that like the 60s?
No,
she was looking after the kids, or she was working? Or
no, she was always a teacher actually.
Oh, good. That's
in the
great.
government school system in PNG. But they met at a college. So the church operates as well as a health food factory. They also have an academic institution that's part of, it was part of the same complex. So the students would work in the factory to earn money for their school fees. And this was a theological college, but also teacher training, accounting, and all this. And that's where I ended up later in a boarding school as part of a high school system.
Gotcha. So what traits did you get from your mother and your father?
I guess the travel bug. Yeah. And, growing up in the jungle, just absolute freedom. Yeah,
And that's where the adventurous spirit was born, perhaps.
I guess, although my older brother, he doesn't venture far from home. He lives in Newcastle.
Right.
He prefers to sleep in his own bed every night. But the interesting thing, like I say, growing up in the jungle...
Which is not a bad thing.
No, a lot going for it. Yeah. So pretty much I grew up not wearing shoes, but then we'd come to Australia in 3 years and get fitted out with proper shoes.
Did you want to, when you were young, did you want to not leave? Or did you want to
no, because it was always exciting. It was either by a flying boat or a ship or... Yeah, it was basically one big adventure.
Mm.
And then once we finished hitting the road for 6 months in Oz, then it was back to the jungle, yeah. Get rid of the shoes and the collars and Wow. So, yeah.
So there was no idea of flying at that time? You were way too young to think about it? Or?
Well, yes and no, because Papua New Guinea was based around aviation. So the only way you could get into the highlands of New Guinea was by airplane.
Right.
And in fact, in the 30s, the first wheel that the locals ever saw in the mountains was the wheel on an airplane, which is a quantum leap from Stone Age to an airplane.
So what were they flying? Was it those flying the double things you were telling me about?
So that was So in PNG they had a gold rush in the pre-war, which is where Errol Flynn got going.
Okay.
Got his grubs saved to get the hold of it. But no, so they're flying little single-engine planes, and the way the story goes, there were three brothers called the Lay brothers who were exploring for gold, and they went inland, and no one knew that there was, 2.5 million people living in the highlands of New Guinea. Never ever been discovered before. And so they found gold. Well, yeah, they went up looking for gold, and in the rivers. And the local tradition was that they actually buried their dead down by the rivers. And so when these guys turned up, they assumed they were reincarnated ancestors.
Oh, wow.
And so they were treated like demigods. In fact, there's a really good documentary around this, a series of 3 called First Contact.
Right, yeah.
Where they found footage. So these guys filmed everything in the 30s. The Lay brothers filmed it all. And someone found the footage on a tip in Sydney in the early 70s. And then they went back and they found the locals who were in the footage as children.
Kids, yeah.
Pretty amazing documentary. And so these guys got the locals to build an airstrip. Apparently they took a radio with them, and then when the airstrip was built, they radioed the coast and they had an airplane. And so in this documentary called First Contact, there's just this unbelievable footage of this plane having landed, surrounded
for the first time.
First time ever, surrounded by thousands of locals.
Yeah.
And the first thing the elders did was look underneath to check the genitals to see if it was a male or a female bird.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty unique.
It doesn't
country.
happen in Papua New Guinea anymore.
Not anymore. No.
So just jumping back, so the trait you got from your mum, what would that be?
She had a lot of empathy. I'm not saying that I've got it, but yeah, no, she was got on really well with everyone. And just as a result of his background with Bernardo's, the old man was pretty tough.
Okay.
And very severe, and she was the perfect antithesis, perfect opposite. And So they balanced out pretty well in that sense.
When you're not in Fiji, where do you live?
Sydney's basic home for me here. From going to boarding school, Sydney's pretty much, and like I said, visiting every 3 years. We would come down and we'd spend the first week actually in Wollonga. There's a big church in Wollonga, big church establishment and a hospital called Sydney Sanitarium. But yeah, so I guess Sydney's always been a bit of a centre.
Right.
And so that's where I gravitated.
Yeah, good.
That's good.
Do you find that there's much work in Sydney as in your hub? Is there much work for what you do?
Well, no, it's not a lot. It's also changing. I mean, there was a famous pilot called Gary Ticehurst, who was an ABC guy who basically got all of the film on Matrix, Australia movie. He pretty much did everything that came to Australia.
Was that planes and helicopters?
No, that was helicopters.
Right.
Primarily, helicopters are the vehicle of choice, platform of choice for filming. And in fact, he was after my slot here on the show at one stage.
Okay.
He was famous too. He covered the disastrous Sydney Hobart race.
Oh, right, yeah.
Where a lot of
3 or 5 guys got killed.
Yeah.
Was he, when you say covered, was he flying a chopper in the air?
Yeah, he was flying for the ABC.
Wow.
So they had a twin-engine squad.
Hey, can I just jump in?
Sure.
Can you say chopper, or is that offensive?
Well, within the game, chopper's kind of more what a Hell's Angel rides, big Harley Davidson.
I never knew that. I don't think anyone knows that outside the game.
No, I know. It's a common use term.
It's a bit like I'm a painter, but I'm really an artist.
You're right, exactly. And of course, Arnie put it into the lexicon.
He did too.
What's it? Get me to the chopper. Yeah. Which, most guys cringe, I think.
Right.
Within the game. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So this guy.
So this guy, Gary Ticehurst, he flew for the ABC. He used their aircraft, but somehow he had a deal with them where he could use it for filming external and other work. But anyway, he perished in an accident in Northern Australia, shooting Lake Eyre. Took off after sunset, no moon, no horizon, 100,000 feet, and got disorientated, and they just took out the three of them.
That's horrific.
Yeah. But
is that something that it is a shock? But in your line of work, it's something that you've got to expect sometimes.
yeah.
Is that
Oh, absolutely.
It's like Formula One.
Exactly. I've lost 16 friends in helicopter crashes, and he's one of them. And I've done my own analysis, and it's about 50% were pilot error, which I think you could probably put in a category, and the other half are mechanical issues.
Gotcha.
And then that's it. You have you don't have anything really to say that you become a passenger if something comes in the machine.
Right.
But so that's been around 1 every 18 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, it's not, helicopters have notoriety for being dangerous, but in fact, in my opinion, and from my personal experience, so I crashed one helicopter and one airplane, both from engine failures. And in my opinion, give me a helicopter any time. Okay. And very, very simply, the reason is you lose the engine, you go into an auto-rotating glide. You're not going to glide as far as the airplane, but when you get to the ground, you can flare it out and put it down minimal speed. But an airplane, particularly single engine, an airplane, you've got to fly all the way to the ground, and you've got to maintain stall speed plus. So you're going in at 100k, and when you hit the ground at 100k, it's unbelievable how much energy
comes back at you,
and how long it takes to dissipate. So I know a lot of guys who crashed airplanes, and I know a lot of people who crashed helicopters. I've done one of each, so I don't think to do any more.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, give me a helicopter any time.
I know you've done some gliding. And you're a hang glider, right?
Paraglider.
Paraglider?
Yeah, so I came into helicopters from paragliding.
Right.
Yeah.
You were telling me a story about, I think in the States, where the plane came down, is it? And then because of your experience, that was that time because you had that gliding.
So I started in helicopters, and then you need to build hours for certain requirements, like your commercial rating and so on. And of course, everything else is less expensive than a helicopter. Right. So once I had my helicopter rating, which you do in around 40, 50 hours, then you need 150 hours to get the commercial requirements. So I then went and got a single engine airplane rating.
Wow.
And then I got a seaplane rating. And then I got a glider rating. So I can fly a lot of stuff badly. And
he hasn't learned how to ride a skateboard.
Anyway, all of those hours in those different categories of aircraft counted towards the commercial requirements.
Right.
And so later, when I was in an airplane, and the engine blew up, and the prop froze, I realized, okay, so here I am. And I realized, well, I'm in a glider, but I'm a glider pilot. And so it was actually a really reassuring feeling. Like, okay, I'll just do what I've done in the glider, and let's get it on the deck. And it's interesting because you never really know how you're going to react until it happens. You'd like to think you can handle it, but until it actually happens, that's crunch time.
Sure.
And
that's when you earn your money.
Exactly. And what I realized is about 80% goes out the window, and you're just left with the core basic skills.
After you shit your pants, you just get into it.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. And that's aviate, navigate, communicate in that sequence. So unless you keep flying the plane, it's going to stall on the toast anyway.
Oh,
so, yeah, it's
what an incredible experience, right? I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, it's definitely, it rattles your cage. I mean, when I let go, all the oil hit the hot exhaust and I had smoke in the cockpit. Vibration was really bad. I thought the engine was going to come out. It was shaking so bad. Off the front of the airplane.
Yeah.
It was a single engine Cessna. Right. And then when I pulled the power back, the vibration stopped and the smoke stopped and the props stopped. But it's interesting, in that instant when it actually went bang, I actually thought, I'm going to fucking die. And it was interesting, yeah. And I don't even know the timing for it, but straight away it was not today. That will to live it's just overpowering. Yeah. And I did the numbers later. I knew I was at 1,500 feet. I was full of fuel, so I knew the weight of the aircraft. And so I calculated the time, because I couldn't have told you afterwards whether it was seconds or minutes. Right? But knowing the weight of the aircraft, my altitude, and where I landed, it worked out to about 40 seconds.
Yeah, right. And you're thinking, I'm going to do the best I can here.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that's going to benefit if I pull it off.
You'll be a hero to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, how would that feel if knowing, you think you'd feel the same if there were passengers in that plane? Were there passengers in the plane?
No, I was by myself. I was actually going...
Because that would be an additional stress factor.
Yeah, but you know what? You just... There's so much else going on.
Yeah.
You're just focused on the successful outcome of what you're trying to I was going to pick up another pilot. That's where I was headed. And we were both helicopter instructors, but he was an airplane instructor as well. A really cool guy. And if it had been on the return trip, I would have said, it's your airplane. Because he had way more experience than me, and he was an airplane instructor. But in a way, the fact that it happened by myself, because I would never have known. I handed the controls to him, and I'm sure he would have done a great job. Yeah. But yeah, I would never have known.
Wow, and had such a good story.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'll just whet your appetite. That's the grin. That's literally 30 minutes later. Wow. That's the grin of
I don't know if we can see it.
And I'll show you one other thing.
Good haircut.
You're funny, man. And that, I don't know if it shows, but that was, I went back later, that was roughly the position where the engine let go. And you can see the plane is still in the field. So that's where I touched down.
This is great. I'm just
Pretty crazy, yeah.
I mean,
to have it.
and someone got a photograph?
Well, I went back and took the photo in a helicopter. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I was very interested to, and if it happened 5 minutes later, I would have been over the forest. So, there's dumbass luck. Yeah.
Did you bounce up and down? What was the landing like?
Roaring down the hill, yeah.
Okay, so it's a bit of a decline.
Yeah. And I hit a rock about this big, and I just blew the nose wheel off. Like it didn't even exist. Yeah.
I'll put that up so everyone can see that. Scary stuff, mate. But being able to do what you did at that time is inspirational as well to yourself.
Yeah. No, it is actually. It just gives you quiet confidence of knowing that you're not going to panic. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so moving away from that, so what other industries have you worked in besides the flying?
Well, yeah, great question. So I majored in psychology at uni, and I had no idea where it would take me. I actually ended up with a double major because that was the only subject I kept passing.
Wow.
I couldn't to go on the next year. But anyway, so I ended up in an advertising agency in market research as a psychologist.
Wow.
Yeah, doing focus groups. So they break it up, research into qualitative and quantitative. So quantitative is statistical, which is pretty boring. And qualitative is focus groups, sort of based on encounter group type stuff, where you're testing concepts, storyboard ads, finished ads. And so, that's pretty much the only real job I've ever had.
When did you start that?
So I started that out of uni in Sydney with a big agency called Patterson's who had some pretty major accounts like
I know.
Westpac, Goodyear, Colgate, Palmolive. So I got to work on all these products and it was actually pretty interesting work. It's generally a 3-week cycle, so you do a week of field work, maybe a dozen groups.
Surveys on the street?
No. All in a room with a one-way mirror for the clients, showing them ads and storyboards, a group setting, and you spend an hour and a half with them. And so you're basically trying to get into their aspirations, and it's common.
So you're like at times like, they're gonna hate this.
Sure.
That's not gonna work.
But the whole thing is, and there's as much non-verbal stuff coming out of it as verbal.
Gotcha.
Like the kind of body language they're exhibiting when they're watching an ad. for example.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so you moderate the group, try not to guide it too much, except to kind of achieve the goals you want. Yeah, right. And then, then you spend a week listening to all the tapes, and then a week writing the report, which of course ended up being the night before, which was just like being back at uni with an assignment, and that just drove me nuts.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah.
And how many years did you do that?
So 4 years with those guys, and the last year I went to Queensland to open up a research outfit with Patterson's in Brisbane.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because they had Golden Circle as a big client. Plus Queensland Tourist Board and all that stuff,
Okay.
So, yeah, interesting stuff. It gives you a little inside look at how the world works and how it operates and how we get manipulated or how we don't. But then, and an interesting thing, like I was living in Brisbane. I had a bunch of crazy neighbours next door, these law students who were the hardest partying characters I'd come across. And we would have these outrageous weekends, and then I'd go back to my office on Monday morning, and I didn't even have a window in there. And I'd be in there on Monday morning with artificial light, artificial temperature, artificial synthetic carpet. And I just realised that this is not how my life is going to pan out.
Especially after growing up in public.
Yeah, it was brutal. Yeah. And so my first job, after getting out of 4 years of advertising, because I'd been skiing a lot, and every time the 1 week skiing was terminated, I was thinking, oh man, I'd love to hang here another week. And every now and then I'd call in sick and spend another week.
So skiing was another passion too?
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't start till I was early 20s. I didn't see snow until I was a teenager.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so my first job after advertising was working on the mountain in Thredbo as a lift operator. And I spent the season on the mountain, and that was it. There was no way that I was going back inside an office.
Good on you.
Yeah. I mean, that just reinforced. So it was actually, the timing was excellent. So you ask about different industries. So when the season was over, I actually went into what I call junior retirement. So I was 29. I bought a house while I was in advertising, utilising the bank connections. Yeah, and I had to choose a suburb that became a nuisance suburb, Paddington, Right. So at 29, I decided to enter my junior retirement phase.
Yuppie phase.
Yuppie word hadn't been invented at that stage. And so, yeah, and my girlfriend at the time, her elder brother was a mud brick builder from Bathurst.
Yeah.
When he got divorced, he ended up in Sydney, homeless and without work. And so, and I had a couple of buddies who were about to renovate a warehouse. So he and I hooked up, and I became his apprentice.
Okay. Right.
An apprentice chippy.
Wow.
I mean, there was nothing ever formal. But, yeah, and I'd always enjoyed carpentry.
Okay.
At
so
school.
you can join the workshop whenever you like.
Yeah, I was thinking of talking to the art department when we get out of here. Yeah, and so we were renovating stuff around Darlinghurst and King's Cross, doing up terrace houses, and I saw how the procedures and what was going on and how much money we were making for the people that were hiring us. And so after a year of that, I bought the house next door of mine when it came on the market.
That's great.
Yeah, and renovated that. So, yeah, but you know what? It's still getting up early, working hard, freaking out about the finance and the council approvals. And I had about a dozen guys working for me. And we turned this giant terrace that was 13 bed sitters, 2 bathrooms. I turned it into 4 apartments and 2 studios out the back. And then I thought, you know what? That's it. it's time for a break. So I went back to Papua New Guinea for 3 weeks for a holiday. And I was still there a year later, swimming, scuba diving and sailing. I was like, okay, now this.
A true adventure here.
Well, no, this is path of least resistance. This is more like, yeah.
As long as you've got your health.
Ah, yeah. And great time, early 30s, great time to. So I met a French guy who rebelled in Papua New Guinea, and I ended up sailing with him on this 100-year-old wooden yawl, which is a 2-masted boat, about 42 foot long, right? And this guy, I cruised with him for 3 or 4 months down through Papua New Guinea on our way back to Cairns. And this guy just kind of peeled open the top of my head like a sardine can and exposed me to this incredible life of adventure and sailing. And yeah, it just blew my mind.
Working on this show is kind of natural.
A little bit, yeah.
Progression.
And so when I got back to Sydney, I'd learned to scuba dive, but I didn't have any certification. And I was in a little town where the scuba diving instructor took off, stole the hotel dinghy and outboard, and disappeared in his yacht. And if I had had a scuba diving instructor rating, I could have had a job right there. So when I got back to Sydney, I thought, okay, I went to TAFE and studied navigation. I did a scuba diving instructor rating, and I became a windsurfing instructor. And I thought, all right, that gives me 3 cards where I can get a job, probably anywhere in the world, maybe a club med. And I basically armed myself with a few skills, because I realized in the ski resort, here I am pulling T-bars, but the guys teaching and actually the ski patrol, they had the jobs.
Yeah.
And if you can teach someone and certify them, then you can get paid to do what other people are paying. Yeah. So I was interested in a little epiphany.
So you've picked up all these licenses, and is there anything else you want to do, mate? You've done everything.
Well, the really interesting thing about the navigation that I studied, because I was really interested by it. And anyway, so I was at TAFE there in Broadway, 3 months, 4 nights a week. And yeah, so meteorology, celestial navigation, blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
Did you enjoy that subject, or was it just to get that certificate?
No, fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I'd helped him navigate and done some shots with the sextant and reductions out of the navigation tables. And this is the path to the planet.
Right.
So anyway, at TAFE for the celestial navigation exam, a couple of weeks out, the instructor goes, all right, so the pass mark is 70%. And we all went, Jesus, what's wrong with 50, And basically, so it took me 5 years to get a 3-year degree, because I kept failing more than I was passing. The subjects I passed were obviously the ones that I was interested in, which was psychology. So, and I pretty much thought that I was a dumb bastard, because I was never very good at maths. And yeah, it was a real slog to get through uni, and I had to pass everything in my final year, otherwise I was done. And
this is when you went back in your 30s, right?
Yeah.
And so
it's a TAFE.
TAFE, so there was a lot of older guys and girls, women.
Complete mixture of people, actually.
Okay, so it was just the younger.
Yeah.
Because TAFE became really popular in the early 80s, I think. It was like the older generation.
Yeah, which is what we're talking about. And I met couples there that were redoing their celestial navigation courses because it was taking so long to build their yacht in the backyard that they'd forgotten everything and they were starting again. And that's when I realized, you know what? Other people's yachts. That's the way to go. Right?
Mm.
So, anyway, when you said 70%, everyone goes, oh man. And then I thought, okay, so does that mean I'm going to be wrong 30% of the time when I'm back out there dodging reefs and, fixing a position for a yacht in the ocean? And I realized, man, 70%, screw that. I don't want to be wrong 30% of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
Oh yeah, but it was the first time that I actually kind of thought, okay, and I thought, yeah, I want to be 100%.
Imagine if you were 70% in that light plane.
Oh hell yeah, yeah, I know. So for the first time in my life, I thought, all right, I'm going for 100%. In a 3-hour TAFE government exam, and I got 100% in still navigation, and I was just blown away. And I was like, so maybe I'm not a dumb bastard after all.
Yeah.
And that I then took that into aviation, and I don't think I've ever got less than the high 90s in all the stuff that I've done, that pertains to what I'm really interested in. So for me, and that wasn't until my early 30s, it was a major breakthrough. Yeah.
So have you been single all this time then? You said you had some girlfriends. Have you got any children? Or?
Yeah, I've got two sons. Here they are right here.
Wow.
One's 33, and he's French, and the young guy is 6.5.
What's their names?
So Mikel is the nice French name, Mikel, and Orion is the young guy.
Nice.
And that comes straight out of the sailing, where sailing with this Frenchman, I learned pretty much all of the stars that we used for navigation. And there's actually 52 selected stars, and they're in the sight reduction tables, all right? And so, for Orion, I was going to give him a star name, and so I pulled out the air navigation tables, and there were names like Canopus and Regulus, and so I thought, bugger it, I'll just go at Constellation of Orion.
Yeah, it's a nice
which is
name.
Orion's
Very
belt.
nice.
Yeah, and you see it, it's up in the equatorial sky, right overhead. And he doesn't understand the significance of that yet, but I'm sure he will.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
So your eldest is 37,
33.
Yeah. The youngest is 6 or no?
6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So,
you can look at Orion at night every night.
Totally. Yeah. So, but yet to get married. I don't want to rush into it.
It's no rush. It's only years ahead of you, mate.
Exactly.
Okay. And just talking about the stars, knowing the stars is good. I know it's good for the ocean. It's good for piloting, right? Does it?
Yeah. In fact, that was the dawn of the GPS era.
Right.
We had satellite navigators, but it would take around 40 minutes to process the signal, and it was primarily designed for the US Northern Hemisphere. So, when I started sailing, the Southern Hemisphere, you needed a sextant, and you needed how to reduce the tables, or reduce the sight, and it demystifies a whole science that, excuse me, Natasha. Bulla.
We have news from the boss.
Okay.
He's asking if 1:15 depart is okay with you.
Okay. That's quite okay. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yep, that's
Awesome.
fantastic. Thank you so much.
No worries.
And I'll send him a text telling him that I'll fire up, and I'll give him that 10 minute, so that when he turns up, we're ready to take off. Cool.
I like it.
Yeah. Alrighty. Thank you so much.
Alright.
Okay. Bye. We should have kept that on film.
I have.
I have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I pretended to.
Damn. Hey, brother, do you want to grab some lunch?
So I just want to ask you, when you were young, was there anybody you really looked up to who inspired you, or an occurrence, or a place?
Actually, there was a fellow missionary, a friend of Dad's, a friend of ours as well, was a pilot.
Right.
This is in PNG. And he used to, some days he'd go out, and I'd see him doing aerobatics in a Tiger Moth.
Oh, wow.
World War II biplane. I just thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. And as I was saying earlier, New Guinea was based around aviation.
Right.
The only way you could get to the highlands was by plane. And so after the war, when I was growing up, the mode of transport was all light aircraft and up to DC-3s left over from the war.
Right.
So the Dakota, famous Dakota. And the cargo version, the CH-53, was one of the most widely used transportation planes in World War II.
Okay.
And so the only way you could get vehicles up to the highlands was if they were four-wheel drive, like ex-army jeeps and Land Rovers and trucks, but no cars, because they couldn't make it across all the rivers and up the mountain passes and stuff, right? So my uncle, in the 50s, imported a Volkswagen Beetle, took the mudguards off and managed to fit it in a DC-3, and it was flown up to Goroka, up in the highlands. Right. So that was the first car that locals had ever seen.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it was unlike anything they'd seen before because it was fairly aerodynamic. You know, you think about a Beetle compared to a Jeep.
Yeah, sure.
Or a Blitz truck. And so the local pidgin language for an airplane is Baldus. Don't ask me why. I think it's German derivative. Anyway, so the local said, "We all send one called Baldus. That's all in got wings." So it didn't look like an airplane without wings.
Yeah, gotcha, right. Wow.
Yeah.
And this guy,
My uncle.
that was your uncle?
Yeah, my uncle. Uncle Eric.
Okay, right.
And we used to cruise, four of us, in this Beetle, down these crazy roads, through villages. It would empty the village. The whole village would run out, to touch it. And they would run beside us.
Yeah.
And the fittest, strongest young men of the village would still be with us 3-4 miles down the road.
That's crazy.
Running beside us. Yeah, pretty crazy. And so this word Baldus, we had a guy visit from Australia. His name was Dr. White. Anyway, he was the first bald guy that they'd ever seen.
Wow.
And they were describing him, and they were saying, they call hair grass. And they said, grass pulling him also in place below the land in Baldus. In other words, his head looked like a landing strip.
That's nice.
Pretty wild place. And the area...
At least you don't have to wear shoes.
No, exactly. Or shirts and collars.
Right.
So I remember we went up. So my man was a school principal on a college up in the mountains. And then we went further up in the mountains on holidays. And in a Jeep, because that's what everyone drove after the war. All the Jeeps left by the Americans.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so, I can remember crossing rivers with the old man sitting on the top of the seat. We'd take the fan belt off so that the fan belt would spray water on the distributor. Wrap a towel around the distributor, take the fan belt off, and then he'd drive across the river, and the water would be over the bottom.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's how we got up into the mountains.
And we got bogged 20 times.
Getting bogged all the time.
We got flooded. That's.
And I remember we went into a village. So the map of Papua New Guinea had an area We're talking the 50s here, right?
Yeah.
They had an area with a red line around it in the very centre, and that was called the uncontrolled territory, where there was no law and order, and no one had been in there. And they gradually encroached into that area and reduced it. But I can remember the families, so 5 of us, staying in this village. We were the first white women and children they'd ever seen. They'd seen white patrol officers come through. They'd never seen white women or white children. And my brother and I had
taken.
Oh, absolutely gobsmacked.
Yeah.
And my brother and I had blonde, almost white hair, blonde hair. And yeah, they would come up and feel our hair, and
That's great.
yeah, I've got some photos of that too, and they're all cannibals with bones through their
Well, I was going
noses.
to kind of mention that, but
Yeah,
I'm glad you did,
because the locals, absolute cannibals covered in, basically naked, but to stay warm, covered in pig grease. So
pig grease?
Pig grease,
Right.
yeah, from pigs, because pigs are the most prized thing in their community.
Right.
In fact, I remember seeing women walking down the road where we lived with a pig suckling one breast and a child suckling the other.
Oh, it's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Pigs are pretty much their only source of protein.
Yeah, right. Wouldn't want to accidentally mix them up. Would you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting environment to grow up. But I mean, we just grew up accepting it. This as completely. That's it. That's
it.
normal. That's
And it really gives you a broad mind. You know, you have to respect
pretty much
communities.
Yeah. I can remember my home. I used to travel a bit as a sort of school inspector. I can remember a local guy, some wild man from the mountains, trying to get in the back door, and middle of the night, and my mother and my brother and my sister are pushing all the furniture up against the back door, and the doors thumping open. And I remember watching from the kitchen doorway, thinking this is going to be interesting.
How old were you now?
I would be about 4. So kind of a vivid memory. Yeah, seeing the
Scary.
door. Yeah.
And they're big fellas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you said, I'll take him. That's interesting, okay?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Just to finish up on the plane thing, and talking about living in the Highlands.
Oh, great.
Yeah. When we moved to the coast, because the old man got a promotion and we moved to the coast, to make the move, he chartered a DC-3. So so we loaded it up with all our stuff, and the seats were bench seats. They were fold-down seats against the fuselage. So all our stuff, including our pets and our house girl and our house guy, that's how we got to the coast.
Right.
In an airplane. And so, I was always fascinated by aviation, and I wanted to be a pilot, but here's the thing, Australia, maths has got to be good. It's kind of like a boys' club, and they try and keep as many people out of it. When I ended up in the US,
I see.
the Yanks have a totally different attitude. They're like, yeah, you can do it. Go. And totally different concept. And so the sailing and the studying of navigation, when I realised with a breakthrough that I wasn't a dumb bastard.
Right. Yeah, okay, so this is leading up to that. Yeah,
and so I got into sailing, and of the 3 things that I thought, so windsurf instructor, diving instructor, and a sailing instructor.
Yes.
I got 3 cards, and I can use it at Club Med or wherever, right? I didn't know which one was going to work for me. As it turned out, it was a combination of both. It was, as a diving instructor, I ended up with a job on a sailing ship that and sailed from Cairns around to Fremantle for the America's Cup in '83.
Gotcha.
So that got me into the sailing, and then pretty much from there, it got me into working on boats. First as a first mate, and then after a couple of years, I ended up as a skipper of a 57-foot Swan, which is kind of a.
Is there anything you can't drive or fly or pilot?
Well, you know, it's always appealed to me to be able to deal with any situation that comes along. You know, like.
So you don't like being a backseat driver?
No,
I don't like a passenger.
No, well, I don't mind that, but I like to be in control of my destiny.
Yeah.
And you know, I was living in a town in Rebel in Papua New Guinea, a town called Rebel, which ended up blowing up from a volcano.
Okay.
But when I was there, and all the women and children were evacuated, but just that ability to be able to escape on a boat or go to the airport and get a plane, you know.
Right.
To me, yeah, I've always been interested.
It is action figure material.
Well, I guess, but also very practical. You know?
It is practical.
So I ended up on a 57-foot sloop. That's a single-masted yacht,
Right.
made in Finland. It's called a Swan. It's kind of like a Rolls-Royce of production boats.
Okay.
And so I sailed that from Hong Kong to Durban. And if you're wondering how long that took,
Okay, let me guess. 3 weeks or something?
4 years. Yeah. So I mean, and I went all through the Philippines. That took 3 months.
Oh, so it wasn't like
Malaysia,
a job from A to B. It
No,
was just like you're travelling around.
I met a guy who I put through his diving course, and he turned out to own the yacht. And he ended up hiring me as his skipper. And then he split for 2 years. So I was sailing for 2 years with my girlfriend on this guy's yacht, sending him faxes and postcards every now and then. And that's when I realised, you know.
He was a boat smuggler.
Wow. There's no comment there on the grounds. That might inseminate me. But he didn't do anything illegal in my presence. And that's when I learnt the concept that I've taken into aviation. Fly them, don't buy.
Crazy, yeah.
And so, and that was great. That was just great.
4 years, great, good for you.
Yeah, and you know, we lost a couple of seasons in Thailand during the King's Cup yacht race. King of Thailand was a sailor.
Okay, right.
So there's a yacht race there sponsored from the top. Yeah, and sailing in your neck of the woods. Below Tierman and there in Malaysia.
Wow.
And then across the Indian Ocean. Yeah, and then, you know, I think there's around about 10 years of sailing all up. Right, by the time I got off.
So you're waterlogged and think, oh, I'm going to take air now.
Well, in a sense, you're living someone else's dream.
Right.
Even though you're sailing around the world. And so, for me, I thought, okay, well, the next dimension, I mean, I kind of started out as a dive instructor on a sailing boat and then running a boat. And then I thought, well, the next step is aviation. And that happened because I got into paragliding. And, so I'm pretty logical in retrospect.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And you can take the skills with you. You know, the navigation skills, you take them into the air. Your awareness of surface wind and direction and intensity and micrometeorology, all really good skills that you take with you.
All good to put into the one aviation.
Yeah, and so, into flying, but then of course, and this is at 42, I decided to become a helicopter pilot. And everyone's saying, you're way too
You've been
old.
doing it for 50 years.
80 years, yeah. Exactly. So I got off the yacht in Africa, in Durban, bought a Combi Westphalia, camper van, with a pop roof, with my girlfriend who was American at the time. So we cruised in through Africa and Namibia in a camper van, and I got into paragliding. And I was worried about making the transition from from sea to land. And instead...
Can you just explain, paragliding, is that where you're behind the boat on a... What's paragliding?
Okay, yeah.
It's
No,
not hang gliding,
good question.
is it?
No. Okay, so hang gliding has a rigid delta frame,
Right.
and you're in a tripod
Mm.
hanging on, and it's a rigid frame. Parasailing is where you're towed behind a boat with a parachute on a long line, kind of like aerial bait.
With a
Yeah, in a
parachute.
harness.
Yeah.
With a big chute. And paragliding is an evolved parachute that's become a wing with quite a high aspect ratio. And you run off a mountain
Oh, right.
and get it fully inflated, and then you keep going.
Ah, I see.
And then you fly. And if you're on a mountain or on a ridge, you use dynamic lift from air coming up the ridge, right?
Yep.
And you can stay in the air, ridge soaring.
You watch the...
Yeah, just like the birds.
Yep.
And that's kind of you've got a primary goal initially when you're learning.
Right.
And then when you get better, then you can top land, just like a bird on the top. Otherwise, up until then, you're going down and landing on the beach.
You watch the...
Yeah, just like the birds.
Yep.
And that's kind of you've got a primary goal initially when you're learning.
Right.
And then when you get better, then you can top land, just like a bird on the top. Otherwise, up until then, you're going down and landing on the beach.
It's great, because I interviewed a good mate of mine, Jules Mack, and he's a hang glider,
Yeah.
and he knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And
He'd
those,
be interested to hear this.
Yeah,
Hey,
those-
Jules?
Hey, buddy. Yeah. You guys are sky gods compared to paraglider pilots with a bag of laundry up there. And the advantage of a paraglider is it goes on your back.
Right.
With a hang glider, you need a ute or a station wagon.
Yeah,
on the roof.
yeah, right, sure.
And so, basically, once you get the idea of dynamic lift and ridge soaring, then your next step is to start going cross country, where you take off on a mountain
Hmm.
and you're looking for thermals that are coming through. And a thermal is like an invisible hot air balloon. So, differential heating of the Earth's surface. Paddocks, cloud paddocks will heat up more than, say, green fields around them.
Wow.
Hot air rises, forms a bubble, and as we all know, hot air rises. And then that bubble breaks away,
Hmm.
and away it goes on an angle to the wind.
Hmm.
And so your goal to go cross country is to find a thermal, and you've got a little variometer that starts beeping when you're going up. And you hit that thermal, and then you call that thermal, and you can climb from, you've maybe taken off from, say, a 300, 400 foot hill,
Hmm.
right? You're in the air thinking that you're over and you have to land, and you hit a thermal, and you call that thermal, and you climb to 8,000 or 9,000 feet.
Yeah, that's mad.
And you're up there to
That's
cloud base.
great.
Yeah, it is
That's like-
wild. It
Is that
is,
about 3 kilometres or something? 9,000 feet or something?
yeah, about that. About that. Yeah.
That's high.
It is. And then, from there, you can fly a hell of a long way. And then you're looking for the next pop-up.
Hmm.
And so you go across country, and when you're done, and conditions drop off,
Right.
and you're always flying in relation to a road. So you land, pack up your thing, and then you hitchhike home.
See, the saying, it's not the destination, it's the journey. It's-
Absolutely. and you know, one of the things about paragliding that I love, pretty much every other sport that you get into, whether it's scuba diving, windsurfing, or you've got the gear, and then you enter a point, then you've got to come back and put it back in the car. This, you launch.
Yeah.
You launch from a hill, and the launch is always exciting.
Yep.
Getting up into the sky is a blast, and then away you go, and you have no idea where you're going to end up. Like, it is the ultimate unscripted adventure.
Yeah, right.
And then when you land successfully, hopefully,
Hmm.
pack up your thing, your chute, back on the road, and you're hitchhiking home. And so I ended up living in Brazil for 3 months.
Oh, man. That's
In a place in the north called Governor Valadares. It's a mecca for hang gliding and paragliding.
wow.
In fact, in the main street of this little town, there is a statue of a hang glider.
Right.
And in Brazilian, they call it as a delta. It's a hang glider. And that place gets jammed with flyers.
Wow.
And it's wild. It's truly wild. So where am I going with this? From paragliding, I ended up in the US on the East Coast where there's no hills to launch up.
Right.
Pretty dismal. You think of Connecticut, Newport, Boston, And so just out of altitude withdrawal symptoms, I went to the local airport and did an introductory helicopter flight.
So you could...
Me and a guy, an instructor, 30 minutes on the controls, and I thought, yeah, this is me. I like this. Yeah.
Wow, that's so good, mate.
I know. And so, it was the logical next step.
Wow.
But here's the deal. You start out from the bottom. So I went from being a yacht captain with whatever amount of status, to being a hangar rat with zero time, actually nobody, and studying.
What do you call it? Hangar rat?
A hangar rat. Yeah.
Oh, hangar rat. Yeah,
hangar
right.
rat. Yeah, hanging around a hangar trying to get flight time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so.
Is that like, can I come up with you next flight?
I mean, whatever. Yeah, do anything to get flight time because you got to build hours.
I watched the plane and is that
exactly
something like a deckhand?
Totally.
Yeah.
And so when I left the guy that I'd sailed for 4 years, when I left him in Africa, my parting present, bonus, whatever you want to call it, was an old Porsche Carrera. So probably one of the better company cars I've had.
Wow.
And I bought this in the States when we were transitioning for some work he had to do. And so this was in the States, and I ended up in the States, collected the car, and when I went into aviation, so here it is, this was my wheels, didn't know anywhere to live. I didn't want to spend any of the money I'd saved in sailing, not on aviation. I didn't want to waste money on rent. I didn't want to blow, So I lived out of this Porsche for probably 2 years on the road. The tent, my paraglider.
It must have been
my
a funny
aviation
sight
books.
to see a tent parked next to a Porsche.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
What colour was it?
It was a dark metallic maroon.
Nice.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
changes colour at sunset. Because when your eyes change from rods to cones, your perception of the not the colour but of the hue purple transitions. How we
check that
perceive,
out.
it's really interesting. How you perceive purple is different whether you're on rods or cones, day vision or night vision. So at sunset, I used to watch this thing, and you actually watch it change colour in front of your eyes. It's
I must
super cool.
try that, mate.
Yeah. And so, and I'll dig out a photo. I've got a shot of it. Life on the road. It had a whale tail. So I'd going cross country, knock out 100 miles before breakfast, pull over, lay out breakfast on the whale tail, toast my English muffins on the hot exhaust, and
shove the potato in the exhaust pipe.
that's what you do to your enemies.
No, in the car, we used to can shove potatoes right
it blows it off the exhaust.
in the engine, like in the engine bay.
Right.
Shove it in between the
And you wrap them in foil.
Yeah.
I used to heat pizza up as well.
Right.
Because it was air-cooled engine. So...
you can have ice cream too.
Negative. German air conditioning is shit. And so it's kind of crazy. I look back, this quest for aviation, building a house, building ratings, flying different stuff. It was just an absolute adventure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.